Hello. Today we're going to be taking some notes in your social studies journal. On your table of contents, we're going to add Sumerian advances to page 14. Remember, you can pause this video at any time to get caught up and then just press play again when you're ready to move on. So go ahead and add that to your table of contents and then flip to page 14. I'm going to add the date at the top, and the title of your notes is going to be Sumerian Advances. We are going to do Cornell notes again today, so we're still practicing that. So you're going to go ahead and set up your paper Cornell notes style after that. So we have room for our essential question right here. And our essential question is going to be, what were some inventions and advances created by the Sumerians? I think that's probably good. All right, and we're going to set up your paper Cornell note style. So we have our interactions part over here. Interactions, about a third of the way in. I'm drawing my line. It's going to stop about 5 or 6 lines from the bottom. You don't want to start it too soon. This is actually going to go a little further like that. And then my notes section over here, remember to leave that kind of a bigger part so you can take notes. And add my summary section down here. All right, and this is page 136 in your textbook. So we're going to add that at the top. All right, zoom in a little bit. So page 136 in your textbook looks like this. As skilled people, we're going to be reading 136 and 137, taking notes as we go. So you're going to need your textbook out, open to page 136, read along with me. You can look on the video too if you don't have your textbook handy, like if you're watching this at home. And then we'll stop and take notes after we read each paragraph or each part that we feel like is important. Okay, so we're reading about a skilled people. Sumerians invented writing and made other important contributions to later peoples. The Sumerians left a lasting mark on world history. Their ideas and inventions were copied and improved upon by other peoples. As a result, Mesopotamia has been called the cradle of civilization. That sounds important. Maybe I should add that here. So, Sumerians left lasting mark on world history. Their ideas and inventions were copied and improved upon by other people. So the reason why they left a lasting mark is because ideas and inventions were copied by others. As a result, Mesopotamia has been called the cradle of civilization. Whoops, cradle. You know, like a baby cradle, like you rock a baby in it. Civilization. So kind of implying that Mesopotamia is like the newborn baby of civilizations. All other civilizations came after this one, and its little baby in the cradle. Why was writing important is the next section. The people of Sumer created many things that still affect our lives today. Probably their greatest invention was writing. Writing is important because it helps people keep records and pass on their ideas to others. To our notes. So here we're talking about writing. And the people of Sumer created many things that affect our lives today. Their greatest invention was writing. And then the book talks about why is writing important. Writing is important because it helps people keep records and pass on their ideas to others. So I'm going to add that information here. Helps people keep records and pass on ideas. Just a quick reminder, when you're taking Cornell notes especially, you need to make sure your writing is really small and fitting as many words on a line as you can while still kind of keeping it organized. So your writing should kind of be matching up with mine of where I'm putting it. So that way if I run out of room, then you run out of room. All right, back to the text. We're on to the next paragraph now. People in Sumer developed writing to keep track of business deals and other events. Their writing was called cuneiform. It consisted of hundreds of wedge-shaped marks cut into damp clay tablets with a sharp-ended reed. Archaeologists have found thousands of those cuneiform tablets, telling us much about Mesopotamian life. So, paragraph here, important about cuneiform. Let's talk about that in our notes. I'm going to add the reason why to this note here, the reason why they developed writing. So they developed it, do you remember what it said? To keep track of business deals and something else. Keep track of business deals and other events. I'm going to do that. I'm going to keep my book here instead of moving it back and forth. It's kind of annoying. Developed to keep track of business deals and other events. Okay? Then we read about their writing was called cuneiform, or cuneiform. Doesn't really matter. Either way is fine. Make sure you spell it right because it's in the book and it's a yellow highlighted word. Cuneiform. Cuneiform was what it was called. It consisted of hundreds of wedge-shaped marks cut into a damp clay tablet with a sharp-ended reed. Cuneiform. Hundreds of wedge-shaped marks, right? Wedge-shaped marks cut into damp clay. Oh, sorry. You see that? Damp clay tablet. Remember, you can pause. Pause at any time. Damp clay tablet with a sharp-ended reed. With a sharp-ended reed. A reed is kind of like a tall stalk of grass, kind of like, reeds of bamboo. Bamboo is a type of reed. If you play an instrument, like a clarinet has a reed and it's a little stick of wood that you have to stick inside your clarinet so it'll make sound come out. And I think saxophones also have a reed too. So bamboo or a reed like in a clarinet, it's just like a really thin piece of kind of wood, almost like a twig, but a little bit smoother than a twig off a normal tree. So hundreds of wedge-shaped marks cut into a damp clay tablet with sharp-ended reed. Archaeologists have found thousands of these cuneiform tablets, telling us much about Mesopotamian life. Okay. Only a few people, mostly boys from wealthy families, learned how to write. After years of training, they became scribes, or record keepers. Scribes held honored positions in society, often going on to become judges and political leaders. Okay, so not everybody learned how to write. The only people who learned how to write were mostly boys from wealthy families, so we need to add that. Mostly boys from wealthy families. And what was the name of the job that they got? Scribes. They became scribes or record keepers. Okay, and it was kind of a prestigious job, it sounds like. They were honored positions in society, often going on to become judges and political leaders. So, scribes, it was an honored position, and you'd often go on to become a judge or a what? Political leader, like a person of great power in your society. Make decisions. Okay. BT Dub, here's a picture of a cuneiform tablet on page 137. So you can see the clay, you can see the little wedge-shaped marks in there. When this video is over, or if you want to pause now, you can go and look at that, read more about the cuneiform tablet. We're going to go on to the other advances right now besides just writing. So Sumerian literature is the next paragraph here. The Sumerians also produced works of literature. The world's oldest known story comes from Sumer. It is called the Epic of Gilgamesh. An epic is a long poem that tells the story of a hero. The hero Gilgamesh is a king who travels around the world with a friend. Oops, you can't see that, huh? And performs great deeds. When his friend dies, Gilgamesh searches for a way to live forever. He learns that this is possible only for the gods. This epic poem is still studied today. Okay, so we're going to summarize that paragraph a little bit. Another advancement of the Sumerians was literature. And there's this, the oldest known story is called the Epic of Gilgamesh. So we're going to write that here. Epic of Gilgamesh is the oldest, that's an arrow, by the way, oldest known story, still studied today. You don't necessarily need to write a summary of the poem unless you really want to. I'm not going to ask you to summarize Gilgamesh for me. I just want you to know that that's something that they created. It's this poem called the Epic of Gilgamesh. It's one of their advancements, and it's still studied today, which is pretty cool. Okay. Other advances in science and math. So we're going to add that. Oh, gotta read it first before we add it. The Mesopotamians' creativity also extended to technology. You read earlier about Sumerian irrigation systems. Sumerians also invented the wagon wheel to help carry people and goods from place to place. Another breakthrough was the plow, which made farming easier. Still another invention was the sailboat, which replaced muscle power with wind power. Okay, so advances in science and math. We're just going to make a list here. Science and math. So I want you to go back to that text and see if you can find all the things it mentioned that were advances in science and math. Let's see. So we already read about irrigation systems, but we should probably add that anyway. Irrigation systems. Wagon wheel. You know what a wagon wheel is? a wheel for your wagon. It has the spokes that come out like that. So you can roll your wagon around. What else? The plow, which made farming easier. Plow up the ground. All right. Sailboat, which replaced muscle power with wind power. So you no longer just needed sailors to make your boat work. Now you could use the wind. Sailboat. You see it? I drew a little sailboat too. All right. Let's see this paragraph here. Sumerians developed many mathematical ideas. They used geometry to measure fields and put up buildings. They also created a number system based on 60. We have them to thank for our 60-minute hour, 60-second minute, and 360-degree circle. So now we're talking about math. So we're going to list the math advances here. Geometry, yeah, to measure fields. I'm running out of room, so I'm writing super small. And put up buildings. They created a number system based on 60 that we still use today. So number system based on 60. So that's why we have, our hours, our minutes, and our circles are 360-degree circles. So I just added that little note down there. One more paragraph. In addition, Sumerian people watched the skies to learn the best times to plant crops and to hold religious festivals. They recorded the positions of the planets and stars and developed a 12-month calendar based on the cycles of the moon. Do you know what that's called when you use the sky and the stars as a science? It's called astronomy. Astronomy is the study of stars and things like that. If you've got enough room, you can add some of the things in here that they used astronomy for. They used them to help them time to plant crops. What else? Religious festivals. Ah, no, running out of room. Positions of the planets. That's cool. That's astronomy. They developed a calendar based on the cycles of the moon. I'm adding that really small right here. Calendar. Awesome. So, what's next? Next, you need to go back, look through your notes, and mark them up with your things you use to take annotations. So, now you're going to circle keywords, star important information, things written more than once, or could it be a possible test question? You can use your pencil, or you can switch colors if you're like me and need to see that visual. But look back through these notes and do that for me. When you're finished tonight for homework, you're going to see if you can chunk these into separate sections the best way you can. All right, see you next time.